This podcast intro, songs AI. It's on YouTube and Spotify. You can use your ears or use your eyes. It's 30 minutes randomized.
Welcome back to another fascinating episode of 30 Minutes Randomized. I'm your host, Steve Wimmer. I'm here with one of my favorite people in clinical research and a Canadian to boot, Sonia Brodie. How's it
Thank you.
going?
Accent was perfect on that to boot. Good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Excited to have a chat with you. If you could just orient the listeners to who you are, who you're working for, so they understand kind of the perspective that you're bringing to the conversation, and then we'll start spinning the wheel.
Right. My name is Sonia. I'm the Director of Growth and Partnerships for CaRe Clinics. CaRe Clinics is a site network, small site network in Western Canada with sites in Alberta and British Columbia. We're multi-therapeutic, 17 investigators across 3 different sites, and we do a whole bunch of different clinical trials.
Awesome. I'm excited and already learning something new. I was on your website earlier today and only learned about 2 of the sites. So the third one is either new or secret. Either way, we'll dive into it. All right. It's new and secret. All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
So just to remind you and whoever's listening how this works, I am going to pull up our randomizer wheel. It's got questions preloaded. We may get to all of them. We may not. And it will dictate the pace of our conversation. All right. We're going to start with the fun one first. What was the last ticketed event you went to?
Like a live show?
Could be a movie, could be live theater, could be music, anything where you had to pay to get in.
I went to go see, it was called An Evening with David Sedaris.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just, I went a couple of years ago as well. It's just David Sedaris reads his essays and then tells ad hoc stories on the side. And he's just like such an endearing person that the last time I went, I was like, I have to see him again. So
yeah, that's a testament to him that he can sell the same event twice to a fan. So it's different enough that
extremely prolific. Like he has produced books and books and books, and he's got a new book coming out. Now I'm, advertising on his part, but yeah, he has a new book coming out. So he read stories from his new book that nobody had heard yet.
It's really cool. Awesome. All right. Evening with David Sedaris. I like a nice lightweight question to get us into it. Sometimes the wheel is not so generous and we just dive right in. Okay, I'm asking this to everyone just because I genuinely am curious, like not necessarily how your work is using it, but you day to day, are you using any AI? Because it feels like it's illegal not to right now. And then what are you opening up like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. Good question. Me personally, I feel like simultaneously for a long time and still I'm like a little bit suspicious that why does it feel like we're being forced to use it? Like it's not like we're demanding it and getting more and demanding and getting more. It's like, have you tried AI? Keep trying AI. Like it's getting pushed on us. And nevertheless, I am falling down the hole of like almost guilt that I haven't optimized my to-do lists and my workflows and my typing. And so I'm dabbling in it. I use an AI generated to-do list, which was a big development for me, being a really hardcore paper-based to-do list person for a long time. Now kind of using that smart categorization and clumping tasks together. I've started using Whisperflow to dictate my emails.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like you hold 2 keys down on your keyboard and you speak and then it types for you. So if you're typing your emails or you're talking to ChatGPT, it's like one step. I don't know how it's that much different from just using the microphone button on, like you can do that on your phone too, but I guess there's some AI behind it and you can give it different tones as well. Like only use 1 exclamation point in my email, or be more friendly on Slack, be more professional in emails. Like, and it knows what to do. I have yet to find a good note taker. I don't like any of them. I find it offensive when they make mistakes. And they like the note takers don't do a very good job of switching. Like if you're talking about one trial and then you're like, oh, by the way, this thing happened with the other trial. Like it lumps information together, which is high risk of being misinformation on the record forever. So I find that taking notes just helps me pay attention. So I'm still a pretty old school note taker. Um, yeah, just the typical
All
chatbot
right.
conversations back and forth as well.
Yeah. I'm like mostly limited to using ChatGPT instead of Google, and that's like about as far as I go, like on a day-to-day basis. Like, um, I'm probably the oldest of old school, so I appreciate your answer.
Well, I have aspirations of using AI to. I have this vision of what I want to do, in building like basically a historical database of everything we've ever done. Because as a site that's been in business since 2017, we started paper based, and then we had one CTMS, and then we switched to another CTMS. So there truly is no like single source of truth with everything ever. And so when you're looking for different information, you go to like CVs, and a lot of it is just like somebody remembers this thing.
Yeah.
Like why didn't that trial go that well? Oh, because of this one thing. So every time I'm learning something, I'm trying to like put it into a consolidated database, which I hope one day to turn into an interactive database where you can just
All right.
ask it questions like, do we have a history of knee osteoarthritis trials? Yes, you did one in this. This was the investigator. This was the drug. It was a GLP-1. Like it was, and then you can kind of ask it more questions about it, and it knows and it learns. So, I haven't patented that idea yet, but that's
Noted.
yeah.
Well, if you're a PE guy out there and you just want to drop some money on Sonia's new stealth SaaS product, go for it. Cool. All right, we're making swift progress, which I enjoy. I forgot to take the last ticketed event off the menu, so we're getting no interview questions. All right, so this is a category called Unhinged Corporate Icebreaker, and it's basically like you're at a corporate retreat, only the person hosting it is kind of like losing their grip. So, what is your favorite way to avoid becoming a fully optimized person?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm like constantly torn between like, should I be more optimized and like,
Right. You
fuck
you
the
said
system.
optimized earlier, and I was
Yay!
like, "Ooh, I can't wait
Yeah.
because I know what the
Yeah,
icebreaker is."
that's what's being like shoved down my throat is like, why aren't you more optimized? Um, I don't know. I love doing things that require you to put your phone. Like I spent the last week gardening with my parents, and when you're gardening, your hands are full of dirt and you can't touch your phone. You don't even get to know what time it is. You just have to like work until the work is done, and there's no optimizing, there's no suggestions or anything. You really just. And I've been thinking about like, because it was so nice. I was thinking about how nice that was. Like why does it feel so novel to spend 4 hours away from your cell phone at a time? I was like, I wonder if you could just put like a hub in your house. Like, remember when the landline was in one place in your house, and when you wanted to use the phone, you could, but when you didn't, you walked away. Like, what if you just had a hub for your cell phone in your house where you walk in, you put your phone in the hub. If you need it, you go get it, but you don't just like carry it around with you from room to room, like constantly checking and getting reminders and notifications and updates, news, etc. So that would be an anti-optimization strategy.
Yeah, I guess a reverse Faraday cage for your home.
Yes.
Another brilliant business idea.
Full
The
of-
gardening sounds cool. I think there's probably people out there who would argue like being in nature is part of optimization, but I think like yeah, um, man, a week of gardening, that's a lot. But it sounds like you enjoyed it, which is always always a great outcome of being outdoors and having hands full of dirt. I'm clicking buttons. It's not really working. Good thing this is not a professional podcast. All right. Almost all that's left. Oh my gosh. All right. So, piece of advice you still live by. This is basically exactly what it's saying. Have you ever gotten a piece of advice for someone, professional, whatever, that has stuck with you enough that it still is kind of like shaping either how you work or how you live?
Hmm. Like many, yes.
It could be like small, big, like just something that comes to mind. Like this doesn't have to be the most profound thing. And it's like, I don't know, always double knot your shoes.
Yeah. I remember uh when I was in grad school, there was a lot of advice to like just keep going in grad school. Like you're finished your master's, you should definitely do your PhD, and you should definitely like just stay in the system and keep
Okay.
going.
Yeah.
And I came home one time and told my parents like, yeah, seems like the obvious choice. I'm just going to keep going and do this PhD thing. And my dad was like, think about the motivations of the people giving you that advice. Like, why do you think they're suggesting that for you? Do you think it's entirely because they want the best possible outcome for you, or is it because you're helping them? And I think about that a lot in a lot of different situations now when someone's offering you a suggestion or a piece of advice. Like, why? Why are they asking you that? And in terms of grad students, like, they are cheap labor that pump out publications and keep the head honcho principal investigator prolific in their work, which is important. And if that's a huge passion of yours, like, absolutely keep doing it. But if you're like, I don't know, maybe I should get a job, that might be the better choice.
Wow. All right. So the advice is meta advice about advice itself.
Yeah.
And
Why are they giving?
basically be skeptical, like
Yeah.
of people who, yeah. Very healthy. Thanks, Sonia's dad. We are now exclusively into the category of interview questions. So these are questions that I thought about ahead of time with you specifically in mind. So Canada. I am curious. You're working for CaRe Clinics, which is an acronym for Canadian Research, if you are not familiar. Is your pitch along the lines of like, hey, we have world-class facilities, we've got great investigators, we've got great staff, and we've got access to patients, come do the research here. It just happens to be in Canada? Or are you specifically trying to tell the narrative like, hey, Canada has something to offer specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So what I often say is like the tough part is selling Canada. When there's a global study and sponsors meet in wherever that global office is, I imagine them all sitting around like a round table evaluating, like, are we going to go to Poland? Are we going to go to Sweden? Like, where are we going to get our patients from? My understanding is there's a small Canadian representation that makes their pitch and says, this is why we should do Canada. At that point, none of the sites have been selected. It's truly just the country. And if that selection doesn't happen, none of us get to compete. Once the country of Canada has been selected, it's actually like the research community in Canada is a lot smaller than it is in the United States. And I don't want to say there's no competition, but there's way less competition. And for studies that we know we're going to perform well on, it's almost a guarantee that we will be selected for those studies because we have the patients and we have the track record and we have the reputation with the sponsors and the CROs. So my job in terms of like selling CaRe clinics, is easy, like, because we have that reputation. So I focus a lot more on what's being said in the global office and why would they or would they not choose Canada.
Do you have a generic like not respective to TA or whatever, like here's why Canada?
Yeah, I mean, I do try to get into the TAs a little bit because they're
Okay.
still different. And sometimes it's a horrible idea to come to Canada because we have universal healthcare. That's good and bad. Like, if it's a drug that's covered, then nobody's going to want to be in a trial.
Okay.
Like, rheumatoid arthritis has been a really hard condition to recruit for in Canada because there's a lot of really good medications already approved, and people aren't using clinical research as an avenue to get healthcare in the same way that there might be more of that in the United States. So there is some TA specific, but like, generally speaking, we'll say we're a very highly educated country. We do have ridiculously good principal investigators, great facilities. Our dollar, like, I can't imagine why, if you're looking at American versus Canadian dollars and considering them somewhat equivalently, you're getting a very good deal in Canada.
All right.
Um,
I'm sold. Next time I am in charge of country selection for a clinical trial, Canada is on the menu and no one will be able to take it off. All right, cool. I had been wondering and I'm glad I got to ask in a public forum.
yeah. The universal healthcare, on the flip side, it does have the advantage is that our records are much more centralized as well. So we don't have the same issue of like professional patients going from one health system to another health system and there being no record of them previously participating over there or what they took over there. So most of our records, particularly in Alberta, we've got a really good one that health records are very centralized, which makes it easy to see what medication someone has taken, what diagnoses they've had in the past, and if they've ever been hospitalized and things that are very relevant for their participation in research.
That's really cool. And that's very interesting. I can contribute nothing to this except that in 7th grade, I was part of a choir that sang the national anthem before a hockey game, and we had to learn the Canadian national anthem, and I still know it to this day.
Very
Yeah, great. Next time we're at SCRS together, I will perform it in the lobby of the hotel.
good. I will hold you to that.
Okay, we already did this one. I forgot to click remove
Random.
because I'm a rookie, and we're just going to keep going. Okay. Now, this is no shade to the copywriters of your website. However, I was on your website and I found a paragraph that read, "Our Red Deer site is a beacon of innovation." And it struck me as mildly funny. And I wanted to know more so what you view the role of sites in terms of innovation. Like, is it more the sites should be innovating like the way they're doing things, their processes, their workflow, or is the role of a site in innovation to find the innovation that works and that's most helpful to the field and then adopt it?
Both. Always and.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess from the site perspective, I guess, okay, let me start with like product development and what is often quite a unpleasant experience if you go to a conference and you're walking through the exhibition hall and there's like 600 vendors and they're like, you need this, you need this. And I'm like, I don't even understand what you're saying. I don't like, no, I don't. Probably I don't. And like, I don't want to see a demo. And they're like, you probably have this problem. It is much easier when you start with a problem and then you look for a solution. And so I'm thinking of one example, like there's probably, I don't know, I don't know how many hundreds of vendors who have created some sort of solution to look at medical records or to help patients who are seeing their doctor get into a clinical trial. And for various reasons, a lot of them don't work for us, particularly not in Alberta, where we have really restrictive privacy laws. And so it's very hard to kind of interface with the health records. The really amazing centralized health records are also really protected. So
Okay.
it's hard to just like allow a third-party software to come in and play with that. But we're just talking about, where is exactly the barrier in that conversation between the physician and the patient? And a lot of it's the physician remembering to mention a trial or even to know that a trial exists and then to mention it. And there is already technology that is supporting physicians in their decision-making capacity. This is AI, again, saying, patient comes in, presents with arthritis. Have you asked them about pain? Have you asked them about this? Do they have a history of this? And it helps them. It's like a support tool to help them make recommendations for the patient. So it's still ultimately their relationship and their conversation. They're not entirely robotic, but they're using this automated decision support tool. And so we said, well, what if one of the decisions was, is this patient eligible for this trial that the bot already knows exists that is in the region and also targeting patients with arthritis? So now as a site, a small site network, we are going directly to the AI decision tool company and saying, this is what we want. Your business is health records and big hospital systems and whatever, but we have an idea that would make it especially valuable for us. And if that goes through, I'm giving away all my ideas today, but I think it's
Pure
worthwhile
gold.
for lots of people to explore is that, yeah, so we say our problem and we come up with a solution. And then if it works, we can spread the news, see you at SCRS next year and we'll tell you how we did it. Similarly with, again, in Alberta, because of our privacy laws, we have historically been restricted to only using local ethics across the province. No matter what, any clinical trial always has to go through local ethics. And I speak to sponsors every day and they say, we've got this obesity trial coming up and it's going to be max 6 months enrollment. As a result, they won't even look at the universities and hospitals because they know that local ethics boards can't handle by the time 6 months has passed, the university is still like debating the contract terms and the trial is over. So they completely overlook groups that use local ethics boards. And so we've gathered evidence from sponsors and brought that back to the Alberta government and said, we are losing opportunities to get clinical trials because we use local ethics. We're like not competitive with the rest of North America because of this like particular rule. And if you want to bring more economy, more business into the province, then this is
I
the
would
way to
like more economy, please.
yeah, exactly. Like there's a really, really good argument for why you would want more research in your province. And so we're not waiting for someone else to solve this problem for us. Like we've identified that this is a big issue and a big hurdle. And we, as a small site network, are just putting our fists up and getting out there
That
and
is
trying to make
so
a
awesome.
change.
So you're actively in this conversation now, or like you're talking to the Canadian government, the Alberta. Okay.
The Alberta government, yeah.
That is, are they receptive? Like how far
Yes.
along in the conversation are you?
It's a longer story. They were extremely receptive, and then they did a whole cabinet shuffle like the week after we had the conversation. So now we're chasing down the right person to talk to get a ministerial order in place, but like movement is happening. So, watch this space and stay tuned. And the day that you hear that Alberta allows central ethics, you'll know where it started.
That's awesome. I will buy that t-shirt.
Yeah. So and then we also do, if a company comes up with an amazing product that is innovative and makes our lives easier, we will absolutely adopt it as well.
Cool. All right, we got 2 more. And we landed on psychedelic science. So you are an advocate of psychedelic science. It's like right there on your LinkedIn. You're sitting on the board of MAPS Canada. You've got your own foundation, which we're not going to have time to get into, but like, does it feel a little bit in the last couple of years like your favorite indie band started to blow up and now everyone knows who they are?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like the work that I did in this space initially was as a consultant for like the really small companies that were like, what's a study? What's an ethics board? How do we go about this? And I was like on the phone with Health Canada being like, how would you go about a clinical trial using a psychedelic substance? Like what approvals are needed? And that kind of set the stage for my own personal interest to grow into, we should open a site so that when some of these companies start getting bigger, we can have a dosing center on site. And we did. And then as a result, now companies are in their phase 2, phase 3 trials, and it's starting to feel like real drug studies, not just little biotechs like asking what the heck a study is. And, and they're working with the big CROs and who don't even, like, they don't care if it's a psychedelic or not. It's just another pharmaceutical trial. So yeah, there's a lot of different players in that space, and some I often say there's like the Venn diagram. There's like the world of psychedelics, and that's a small community in itself, and a lot of big players. And on the far side of that circle, there's like the woo woo tie dye,
Yeah.
lawn earrings and crystals.
They're talking to you about ibogaine exclusively.
Absolutely, yeah. And then on the other side of that Venn diagram, there's like the really hardcore pharma, which is also, it turns out, a small community. And you go to enough conferences, you've met a lot of the people. And these two worlds are overlapping. And there's kind of this middle ground where you need to have the white lab coat precision, and you need to have a little bit of the crystals and good vibes to make these studies happen. And it's been really interesting to watch. That Venn diagram space is getting bigger as more trials are entering the pharmaceutical space.
That's cool. So I want to go one layer deeper here. I have been really interested in this for probably the last like 2 years. I heard a talk at a conference and it was not on my radar screen at all. And then it became front and center. I really care about the mental health space, and a lot of the studies are exploring the effectiveness there. Effectiveness aside, which I know it's a conversation, whatever, like it has to be effective. A lot of the things I've been hearing are like around adoption, and how like logistically even is this going to be possible? Like these studies are set up with 8-hour monitoring sessions. And so if they get approved, like are there payers, are there clinics that can even support that? Are patients going to want to do this? Like, I don't know. I know we're not going to talk about all that in 5 minutes, but I guess from your chair, as someone who's cared about it longer than most or longer than a lot of people, what are you hoping to see in the next 2 years-ish? Like what would you love to see happen?
Yeah, it is. I have so many feelings about this. I'm trying to like put it into a simple statement. Yeah, it's alarming. And this happens in science all the time, is like one group does it one way. So they're like, okay, we're going to have one person in a bed with eye shades and earmuffs and 2 people, like a man and a woman on either side of them. And we're going to listen to this playlist, and they do it. and they get some efficacy and they publish it. And then the next study comes along and they say, well, we use that method. And then they replicate it, and then they replicate it, and they replicate it. And by the time it gets to phase 3, we're still using that same model. And then Health Canada or the FDA approves it and they say, okay, you can use this substance, but you have to do it with 2 people in the room and the playlist and the eye shades and oh, we've got a guest star. Marge says,
Hey.
hey, look, hey. That's my cat. So definitely that model is not going to feel, for some people, that's going to feel amazing. It's exactly what they need. For other people, they've got very different relationships with health systems, with being alone versus being in a group, being inside, being outside. Like there's so many ways to skin this cat. And I really hope that there's openness to different ways as the publications continue to come out and as approvals start coming through. I really just hope for a diversity. I hope that we find a medical way to deliver psychedelics safely and effectively under all the medical supervision that's needed. And that might be for like the cases that really need that level of supervision. I also still hope, and what I like about psychedelics is it's got this whole underground freedom side of it that is not medical. And a survey came out recently actually about, I'll send you the link later, just asking people who use psychedelics illegally why they do it. And the vast majority of cases, it was middle-aged people. Like it's not teenagers, it's older, mid-aged adults, and they're doing it for wellness and self-improvement. And where the line between like treatment-resistant depression and suicidality, and I just feel like I'd like to feel a little bit better, like that's all on a spectrum. And I would like there to still be a path for people to just kind of explore their consciousness and feel better without having to be admitted into a hospital with psychiatric oversight. So hopefully both of these worlds as they exist will kind of continue to grow, and there will be lots and lots of options available for someone who needs help.
Yeah, well said. I don't think there's anything we have time to go deeper on, but I really appreciated that. We have like 1 minute left. I don't think my last question is just, it's called career progression. And maybe we can just put a period on this conversation with this. Like you went from kind of being a research assistant, doing the research, to kind of like helping run the research or make decisions at like an organizational level. And now your title is growth and partnerships. That feels a little salesy. Do you feel like this is like, I don't know, was this the plan all along? Like, do you feel like you're still connected to the research meaningfully? Like, I don't know. I don't really have a concrete question. I'm just curious, like, how did you wind up going from I'm doing the research to like, I'm over it?
No, this was not the plan. And if you would have told me 10 years ago, like, you're essentially going to be working in a sales role, I would have just laughed. Like, oh, I'm a neuroscientist. So I've found over the years that what I really like to do is, like, I call it building puzzles. So if you tell me, if you tell me we're going to start our 17th diabetes trial and it's going to look just like the 16th diabetes trial, I'm like, yeah, okay. But if you tell me you've got this, you want to try this drug in a new indication and you need a new kind of doctor that we've never tried before and you need a new access to new patients and like, we need to build this, like, how are we going to make it happen? Then I feel like what I've discovered, my superpower is like, find the doctor, find the patients. And like, because I have worked from the ground as a research assistant, research coordinator, like all of the roles you can possibly do in a site up until this point, I can understand what's needed and what's going to make it successful. So I can go and find all those puzzle pieces and bring it together to make it happen.
That makes sense. Well, I am glad that you were out there making it happen and bringing things together. I don't have any parting shots. We did it. The wheel is exhausted, and I am very thankful for your time today. If you have any like last minute whatever, or you can just say, see you later. I got to figure out how to end a podcast. I don't know yet how to do it.
Usually there's like an outro song. Do you have an outro song?
Yeah, no, I add that in post though. Like I usually just layer it over. So it'll be going when people listen to it, they'll be listening to the little outro song as we speak.
You've boxed yourself in by calling this 30 minutes randomized. Like you're
Yeah, maybe it was short-sighted. Whatever, done is done.
No, I like it. I like the constraints. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Cheers.
Bye.
30 minutes randomized.
Thanks for listening to 30 Minutes Randomized. If you enjoyed the show, please feel free to like, subscribe, review, or share it with a friend. Until next time, I'm your host, Steve Wimmer, reminding you to stay random.